Okay. December 17th, 2023, EDESC. 4 days to wait, son. Those who haven't studied the psychiatry or the psychology or any of the sciences from the 1800s that were standardized in the 1800s in the Britannic tradition, mostly, because most countries, well, certainly the major countries, the first world countries and the second world countries have a tradition of imperial medicine. Okay, now the third world countries generally have suppressed their ancient medicine almost across the board. And the fourth never. They generally regions that were cringe meager to the point that more complex institutions to disseminate knowledges to the people didn't develop to a degree that could withstand the demagoguery. So here is a book to study. Midday fallacy meditation reflections. We focused on founding a new trade house or improving yourself or something. Doing something in the urban centers to produce something useful. So I'm a novice, and while in prison in Quebec City, Stop Genocide Campaign Legacy Trumbull. The Liberians is a French-speaking province, almost exclusively, mostly French. Second language English. And I realize that the local ancestors and contemporaries were bringing me books in English to read of significance to the issues across the world. And this is a copy I purchased off the internet, or maybe this is the one I. No, this was Bibliothèque from Quebec. No, this is a campaign book. I bought one for my daughter, I believe. So, technically, I seized this book from the government. Okay, so anyway, there's the book. I'm okay, you're okay. I am the government, so it's okay. And I return many benefits. So, this book is written by Thomas A. Harris, MD. Now, a librarian here in the local library, Polis, criticized it for being out of date. This one was published let's see, This one was published. Avon, publishers of Bard and Camelot, discuss Equinox and Flare books. In the 1960s, copyright 1967, 68, and 69. So, this one, this is pretty sound science. A lot of the therapies that I've studied are based in emotional relationships between you and a therapist. And an extreme dystopian denounced vulgarity, that's unreliable. What? So your peers, right? Your 64th degree peerage. So people struggling with mental illness seek out therapy, or just a profound unhappiness, or however you describe it. And immediately a therapist wants to subjugate you to their belief system, right? And that's not the most effective uh, that's not the most effective therapy. Most therapies are unhealthy methodology, right? Most. And they're self-gratifying, various troubled traditions. If your plan is just to go to a therapist and cry and be placed under a wing for it, that might help, but after a while you'll realize you're just being suffocated, right? As a peer, it's not natural for peers to subjugate each other even if they're unhappy. Your peers, that's what it is. You don't subjugate each other. Can you close the door? Please? Thank you. I'm making a recording. So this book, I'm okay, you're okay. I'll read the back. It's probably the most important question you'll ever have to answer. Because right now, whether you're aware of it or not, all the relationships with the most important people in your life are strongly influenced by a combination of how you feel about yourself. Okay or not okay. And what you think of them. Again, okay or not okay. I'm okay, you're okay is a product of Dr. Harris' pioneering efforts in the field of transactional analysis. Now, what they mean by this is the wise merchant or infantryman, training scholar, or priest, or labor, whatever it is. They listen to their peers and what they're saying for telltale signs of what's going on. Right? If you're, see, in my childhood, they had this idea. This is what I mean. These cultural ideas that there were alpha males and beta males, and you're either one or the other, right? Athlete or a jock, or stereotypes. And it's simply not correct. If you're taking on a stereotype, a persona, right? As a peer, you're being groomed into a fallacy of character, of personality, like you'll likely develop a personality disorder, which they'll use to milk you to death later in your life. The demagogues will. Anyway, though transactional analysis, you just essentially, instead of always speaking first and only over top everyone around you, and let's say you're a natural leader and you're the talker and the motivator and the one that gets little social groups organized, makes plans, etc. When you, as a leader, get into difficulties and your clique is not used to sharing information with you and supporting you in a tactical way, you will be troubled. So, transactional analysis is essential for leaders. Really, what is your clique doing? What are your troops doing? What is your squad doing? What are your coworker, peers, or subordinates doing? What are they actually thinking and feeling? How's morale in your unit? are they mentally are they mentally capable of bearing extreme dystopia and denounced vulgarity? Are you preparing them for that as a leader? No, no, don't, don't. I believe I've had many full starts with philosophy, and one of them is that human beings, especially clansmen, are somehow uh, easily defined by looking at other species. One of the things they teach is that clansmen are like silverback gorillas, mountain gorillas. Right? Now, a silverback gorilla, he's an 800-pound gorilla that grows a silver fur on the back. And they only keep females and tolerate their one or two offspring. Do you really think clansmen are that? No. They say so many derogatory things about clansmen. I suppose if they had said that, we would have never figured out what was going on. So anyway, efforts that have already revolutionized therapy produce procedures throughout the world after helping countless numbers of people help themselves establish mature, healthy relationships. He has translated startling theories into easily understood language, and that's essential. Your crew, squad, or congregation, or office, whatever, staff, you're going to develop a certain culture. And so that language you start out with as a leader is going to establish the culture of the smallest unit, and the smallest unit makes up the culture of the whole machine. So it is essential as a leader to study and perfect your language. So easily understood language. I don't always use English. Sometimes Englishy. This book is written in English, with the elemental and sexuality taken out. Sexton. So, the step after helping countless numbers of people help themselves establish mature, and this is the draconian objective: to improve Earth Mani score table in the empiric form. And my ulterior motive is to improve sovereignty for over millennia. So it's Draconia, right? Now, if violence in martial arts is manhood to some people, if you want to be a good soldier, a good legionary and auxiliary, you got to learn language. Language. If you can't communicate, or if you found a squad based on contempt, extreme dystopia and denounced vulgarity will take care of you pretty quick. And always does. Diesel said it. If you're cussing each other, disease will take you before the enemy does. You want to live on a veteran's pension with your comrades or your office comrades or whatever, however you, or priesthood pensions and whatever. Study the language. So successful behavior change into practical advice. The result is a remarkable book that has already helped millions of hardcover readers lead more effective lives. So there's 4 general things people say, including Klansmen, despite how they criticize them. So I'm not going to go through the whole diagnostic, the background. There's 4 general statements people say in everything they do. I'm okay, you're okay, is what you want out of your troops or your whoever you're leading. So if they don't believe it, they won't say it. Well, they'll say it, and that's a good thing to say it, like to message yourself. You'll figure that out in the book. Eventually, your psyche does what it's supposed to, and you become okay, at least in your squad, right? Your culture is one based on physics, Euclidean geometry, and not emotional baggage, right? So, if you have if you have a unit member who often expresses fatigue or aversion to a task, they're saying, and you're a good leader and you practice this and you don't cuss and you just mentor and do your job, your role, your college, your divine college. What they'll say is, you'll ask them, "Are you okay?" Right, as you naturally do, as one does. Are you okay? Are you actually okay? Tell me what's going on. as you're mentoring and training them orientating to the task. And they might say, I'm not okay when whatever it is. They'll express that they're not worthy, they got issues, whatever they are. Now, depending on how they say it, you train them to say these 4 phrases to describe their actual situation because you don't need the whole psychosis of why they're not okay, right? In fact, encourage them to blow off steam or something like that. That's the opposite. You don't want them. It's not necessary to blow off steam. You see, it's physics. Um, Heavy drinking, that kind of thing. You know what I mean? You don't need to blow off steam. Your psychology is physics. Right? You're not going to be able to cure everything about them, but maybe if you know them for the rest of your life, you'll really improve their overall health. And really, you will. If you practice leadership, language, my theology, scientific only, and do your best. So anyway, there's I'm okay, you're not okay. Kind of instead of asking them, are they okay when they're not performing? You say, you are worthless, no good, nothing, right? Instead of mentoring and training them, you're just calling them worthless, hoping they'll turn it around or whatever, right? They won't. Because their physics, their Euclidean geometry, can't bear the energies of the universe, the elemental energies. So what you do in that situation is you give them a little listen. If it's an elongated psychosis, you cut it short. And you begin grooming them to say, I'm okay, you're okay, messaging themselves. So anyway, I'm okay, you're okay. I'm okay, you're not okay. You're okay, I'm not okay. And now that's when or you're not okay, I'm not okay. And now that one, they basically underperformers usually, and they can't uh, trust. They don't cooperate. They've got contaminated psychology. So you're not okay, I'm not okay. What is that? They call it medically, maybe they call it depression sometimes, or schizophrenia, or any number of things, but you can work with that. Schizophrenics, like people who have been criminalized and diagnosis, that's all you're going to get in extreme dystopia and denounced vulgarities as a leader. I got to tell you, if you're in a major corporation, anywhere in North America, you're going to have at least one person that's been involved with the criminal system, criminal justice, incarcerated, on drugs, raised by uh, unskilled parents, drug addicts, all kinds of things. You really are going to have to adapt and overcome. So, especially if you want to be your own boss or whatever. Oh, what's the other one? I covered 3. Well, let's see. Where is it? Obviously, you're okay, I'm not okay. Right? Yeah. I think that covers all 4. Anyway, this is an older book. However, transactional analysis is available on YouTube in all the languages. This one's still available online. $6. right? Teaches you how to deal with the intrusion of demagoguery, right? A little basics about God or the divine touches on it, right? It's more of a technical manual on uh, um, the physical nature of the mind and how to work with contaminated psychology. And there's something else. Okay, so the sacred Saxon centerpiece here. There's 5 stones. The bottom stone, the base, is the God stone and the gold stone. Now the clansman, you probably know if you are, or your chieftain does. That's the stone, the base. And that's why it's controversial with the military and the deep state and that kind of thing. Or whatever the current hysteria is. That's the one the chieftains, the contemporary chieftains, old chieftains, ancient chieftains, modern ancient chieftains, old chieftains, and ancient chieftains manifest on the base, the godstone. So the aquifer, right? They're actually divine manifestations, right? The chieftains. That's why you're felt shield to them. So you have to include them in any study, right? You just invoke them, right? Now that's not exactly apparent in everything we do, is it? It very well could be your chieftain is a 600-year-old native fellow. Or could be European. What are you manifesting in your language and things like that? What are your habits? You'll figure it out. Just invoke your obvious chieftain. Include them, right? And you'll remember the material and be able to apply it in Soul Day, right? The next stone above, now it's 5 stones stacked one on top of each other. Sacred Saxon. The next stone is the inner child stone. And this stone is a recorder. And that's the key to this. That's the key to the messaging, see? Because as a child, you don't question anything, do you? Right? You don't question the validity of anything that goes on around you. You're just learning language. Right? Inner child. Recorder. Just recording. Not oblivious. Not at all. And recording. For a later date as a child. And then what develops in your coming of age is your Marn stone, your adult stone, and that's the intellect. Now that's where freeborn and clansmen differ, right? Because if you don't include your chieftain as a clansman, right, your inner adult, or your Marnstone, that's the difference, right? Your inner adult's different, eugenically. Depending on your culture, right? And the chieftain, you know, here's the thing: if a chieftain thinks you're a bright and benefit and honorable, and you're going to bring him prestige, you'll be backed over all the other ones, all the other clansmen, right? You got to think of the advantage. So include your chieftain. Now the full freeborn, your intellect's a little different. You got an independent inner adult. Agree? Now invoking the ancestors is what worship is. And you do that with your inner adult. Invoking ethereal complexes in either. That is what worship is. Attuning your inner adult mind to a certain architecture, a preferable architecture. Now, obviously, it is extreme dystopian and house vulgarity, and everything on the internet is demented, basically. Very little is of any value. It's a wasteland. So you can research the basics on the internet how to worship, but you do that with your inner adult 64th peerage, reborn citizen, full citizen. You got your Marn stone, and then you've got your Messiah stone above that, the fourth stone of the sacred Saxon. As your inner parent, as your protective. Self-preservation. That comes about in your life when you're about 12 years old. And above that is the Saxon stone, the Saxon elemental stone. And if you want to be successful, you'll worship something as a full freeborn citizen or clansman practicing a healthy, deprecating philosophy to a healthy religion. So the elemental stone is there, the sacred Saxon stone, the fifth stone, the Saxon stone. And that's the either. And you will manifest success. However, if you're not saying I'm okay, you're okay. However you put it, however they say it, your troops, co-workers, and you don't got to be the leader to practice this. If you're tired of a crappy workplace, now's the time to start working with this. Poorly organized, nasty workplace. Right? So, anyway, Dr. Thomas A. Harris, MD, is not the first to use transactional analysis. It's legionary, ancient, but however, he is the first to pen it in English in such easily understood language, right? And refine it in a condensed, easily understood book. You can read that if you're a leader or you want to improve your workplace or your college. or even your sweatshop, right? A brutal sweatshop where, you know, even if you are under the whip somewhere, especially if you're under the whip somewhere, costs nothing. Costs nothing. A workplace where the units are functional socially costs nothing. And what does it do? Increases production. And the workers will be healthier, they'll live longer, be more productive, more skilled. So there's nothing controversial about this book. Absolutely not. Or even this entire college. Transactional analysis, therapy, science. Nothing controversial about it. However, there are some inconsistencies. It doesn't explain eugenics because it's a uh, a sensitive subject, or basically nobody cares. But however, if it did, it would definitely have to do with chieftains and clansmen, right? And the enchattlement of the people. So that's a clue, right? So you're all 64th peers, clansmen, or freeborn. Now, if you're clansman, you just have to include your entire actual natural neurologic uh, clan. So, obviously, if you self message, I'm okay, you're okay, your chieftain's gonna know about it. I'm gonna know. Right? If you're messaging, I'm not okay, you're not okay. Well, there's billions doing that. There's literally billions of clansmen saying, I'm not okay, you're not okay. Or I'm okay, you're not okay. You know what that sounds like? To the Glade, and the Great, or the Grand. What's the other one? Can't remember right now. Glade. What's the regional good? Of course, why not? The Glade, good, and great, and grand architectures. You know what that sounds like? White noise. A bunch of whiners, right? Nobody wants to invest in someone who's uncooperative and whiny. However, as a leader of a unit, a mixture, multicultural mixture, right? You have to optimize your unit or you're not a good leader. If your unit takes on a deprecating philosophy, you're going to die of disease. Well, there's the reality. Anyway, so if you've got a healthy psychology you will manifest healthy physical. If you've got a nasty, self-deprecating philosophy of yourself and others, you'll manifest ill physical health. Right? And really, that's it. If your clansman chieftain is a little bizarre or something, you can message him just by writing things or invoking it or including them in the process. Electoral observers, there is a manual. In the clansman chieftain's own dialect. That's well, that's just a legionary standard thing to do. But anyway, there it is. See, with physical immunobiology, if you're projecting into the forum weak, weak self-deprecating philosophy, you're gonna cave to everything. And parasites and disease will move in on your unit. Right? Others will feel you being timid. And extreme dystopian announced vulgarity. That is a collapse of carnal flesh laws. Habeas corpus. Right? So if you're praying for a resolution of a unit issue, and looking for an ordinary miracle, it is literally learning how to behave as a leader. The proper language of a leader. And the trade, right? Whatever the trade is. So, okay. So that's Nightfall's meditation reflection. 4 Days to White Sun, December 17th, 2023. So Improviser Augustine I.